Welcome to the Fantastic Mr. Podcast. I'm Zack Briggs, and joined by Justin Strange, and not joined tonight by
Jerome.
one and only Jerome Kramers. He has family duties to tend to. We miss him, of course, but this is an episode I'm sure he would have had wonderful contrarian views on, as he often does on a lot of these episodes.
When he canceled, I was like, I don't know how much Jake would have contributed, because I don't think I've ever heard him really speak about the topic we're going to speak about. Like, it's usually just between me and you. Sometimes Jake joins in, but anyway.
I would probably think he would have the most input on the Todd Phillips Joker movie.
So
analyzing that. Justin and I, everyone that's listening, we saw the Joker movie, I think at least twice in the theater.
We're talking about
together, I believe.
Different movie and film and TV Jokers, by the way. Sorry,
yes.
Zack.
Yeah. When did Joker come out again? The Joaquin Phoenix one? That was like at least a few years ago.
Yeah, that was right before. I believe that was right before the pandemic. When Joker came out, because that came out, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 came out, and then pandemic hit.
Yeah, I think that Joker movie set a different, unique bar to the other Jokers that we previously have seen, either on the small screen or the silver screen.
Yeah, 2019 is when it came out.
But I think a lot of people think of the Joker, and I think it's fair to say people are envisioning Heath Ledger's wonderful performance. And without any doubt, he did fantastic. Heath Ledger did as the Clown Prince of Crime. But I think for you, Justin, when you think of the Joker, which one do you think of? What one comes to mind? And even if it is from film or animation, I think the animation and DC animated movies are just as important, I believe, as the live action stuff that has been in theaters for decades now.
I guess the first one that comes to mind is Heath Ledger's Joker, but that's because, like, I had seen Batman and Batman Returns at the time, but I had seen a little bit of the original, the 60s Batman, but like not enough to really remember. And Heath Ledger, The Dark Knight, was like the first Joker where I was an adult at the time, and it kind of it was the first one I sat down, went to the theaters to see, and like watched them and loved it. So that was kind of the first performance of the Joker where I was like, this is awesome. Because even Jack Nicholson's Joker, like I said, I don't really remember. I didn't at the time. I hadn't remembered it enough to be like, oh, it's so Jack Nicholson's so much better. It was like at the time it was Heath Ledger. That was the Joker for me. So, but Jack Nicholson did a great job. I had watched Batman, rewatched it, since, and he did an awesome job. So he's a really good Joker. But Heath Ledger is kind of where it's at for me as far as like kind of the one that stands out. Now, Joaquin Phoenix, when that Joker came out, like that was to me a masterpiece. And it wasn't, just because of the character, it was the story, the music, especially. I love the music in the Joker, in that Joker movie. But yeah,
Absolutely.
Joaquin Phoenix is definitely, top notch for me.
Yeah, I remember seeing the teaser trailer for The Dark Knight and hearing that voice of Heath Ledger's Joker. And I had known Heath Ledger from not many other movies that had came out before, but it sounds nothing like his real voice.
Well, because he's Australian, I think.
That's true. Yeah. He is. But there was this YouTube video where he talks about who he was inspired as far as influence on the voice. I'll have to find that video later, but he goes into depth about what influenced him and his decision to create his character in the way he did. Each Joker has their own personality, you could say. Some are a bit more anarchy-esque, which I would argue the Heath Ledger Joker was kind of an anarchist.
Well, chaos all the way.
Chaos, yeah. And then Jack Nicholson's was kind of gangster, maniacal, And then you have the Jared Leto, despite what people they bash on him for what he looks like, etc. I argue we haven't seen enough of him to
I would say
have
that
a
too.
full judgment. But he is also kind of a gangster with elements of Heath Ledger's Joker as well.
Yeah, he's kind of almost like a mix of Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger, but a mix that just doesn't really do a good job. And I don't think that's Jared. And we've talked about this before. I don't think it's Jared Leto's fault. Jared Leto is an amazing actor. Now, I think he just picks
award-winning.
Yeah, he just picks the wrong roles. Because like Morbius is like is a movie that isn't doing well. I still have yet to see it, just because I don't know. I've getting a lot lazier lately. I'm trying to start going to the movies more now that I'm back in Arkansas and stuff. So
yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, and so
not because I don't want to, but
yeah, exactly. And so, but Jared Leto's Joker is as close to the bottom for me, but it's still like. To me, he's not unwatchable. He's more unwatchable, he's more unwatchable than most. But like, you look at his performance in Suicide Squad and then his performance in Justice League, and it's almost night and day. I really enjoyed his performance in Justice League. I thought Zack Snyder nailed it as far as Jared Leto, letting him come back and let him kind of redeem himself. I don't know if he's redeemed himself all the way, but I think he's redeemed himself a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of sucks that the Snyderverse, as far as we know at this time, is no more. It would have been. I could have seen more Joker, playing a more prominent role in those scenes that we saw glimpses of.
Mm-hmm. I think
in Justice League.
I think we could, if we could have got one more Justice League out of Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder, I would have been okay because we. And I'm sorry, we're not talking about this, but we're introduced to Darkseid in this one. And so I think more of that would have been great, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? DC is just up and down.
Yeah, it's a circus, really.
Yeah.
Jared Leto's Joker really didn't feel anything for him. I never felt bad or had much of a connection to him. So I think it would have been nice to have another movie with
Jared Leto.
Him appearing more often. I kind of felt something a little bit in the Justice League Snyder cut, but I need to see more to have like a proper judgment of that Joker. Cesar Romero, 1960s, Batman, Joe with no Robin, very camp, which was the kind of the theme of that series. I mean, I think I was looking it up. Then the Batman movie came out in 1966, and the film hit theaters 2 months after the last episode of the first season of the television series. Mm-hmm. And I think that was my first exposure to the Batman 1960s universe, was that movie, and then I proceeded to eventually watch some of the episodes, and certainly not all of them, but that's like a fun, playful, really non-threatening Joker, if you've seen clips of Cesar Romero. And it's also interesting because Cesar Romero, he was known for his mustache, or he took pride in it, and I guess he apparently refused to shave it off. So you could, as a kid, I even asked, what is that on his freaking area where the mustache is?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Paint.
I'm looking at a picture of him right now, and he's still got the makeup. Mustache just under his makeup. He's still got a mustache, but he looks a lot like the Jack Nicholson Joker, where his face is painted and his lipstick goes out, which is kind of what Jack Nicholson did, as opposed to Heath Ledger, who you can see where it has like almost like visible scars with makeup on it a little bit, but this is just like lipstick. And I think Joaquin Phoenix did the same thing, didn't he? He just lipstick and kind of like a winged eyebrow or winged eye makeup. Here it is. I'm looking at Joaquin's right now, and it's just kind of like lipstick that points outwards of his lip. And so he kind of reminds me of the Jack Nicholson Joker, where Tim Burton must have been, just been into Jack Nicholson or something, because they kind of look alike. But Jack Nicholson's got those dimples, those weird dimples.
Yeah.
He's got, like he's got something in his mouth.
Yeah.
Like
what I appreciated in the Joker live adaptations that we've seen is the fact that we've seen, for the most part, how they became the Joker, even though I think the Dark Knight, we know the least amount. We don't see the transformation,
Well,
which is kind of unique. We don't see the transformation, whereas in '89 Batman, we see
that's
Jack
true.
Nicholson being not rescued, falling down the vat of chemicals,
Right.
and I could go into the whole nine yards of what happens, and then we see in the Todd Phillips Joker with Joaquin Phoenix,
Yeah, his was just like
his slow, depressing
spiral,
dark spiral
it's
into
just downhill.
manic depressive. Yeah, he's just all over the place for him.
Crazy.
But
Yeah.
with Heath Ledger's Joker, we heard his multiple iterations, his stories of
Well, yeah.
how I got these scars, but we really don't know if those stories are true, which I kind of like, because that kind of harkens back to like the Killing Joke, perhaps, like where there's multiple. You don't know what's true of his background.
Well, even
But,
Jared
what do you think about all that?
Well, Jared Leto, you don't really know much about him. All you
That's
know
true.
is he's just like this high-ranking gangster guy who runs a club, right? Because I think that club is his in Suicide Squad, and that's all I really know about him. Besides the fact that he loves Harley, he hates Batman, but
I feel like there was one scene though in maybe Suicide Squad that we see Harley Quinn fall into the vat with Jared Leto's Joker, or unless he was already transformed.
They just jumped in. I believe it was just. I think it was just Harley Quinn that did that. If
Makes
I remember
sense, because he's going to be Joker first before.
Yeah, because he was already kind of in that. He was already kind of jokery when he went to Arkham, and then he kind of transformed Harley Quinn when she was falling in love. Like, it's amazing to me how he did that. Like how he was able to, meet this doctor, and then she turns to like this crazy criminal woman. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing how he was able to do that, manipulate her to fall in love with him, essentially.
I'm not an expert on Harleen Quinzel, but I believe that's her name. Was she always like easily to manipulate? I wonder. I'm curious.
I think from what I could see,
did she have a condition? I don't know.
Well, I'm sure she did, and I'm sure that what happened was the Joker just kind of unlocked her brain, essentially. Like even in the games, Arkham games, like that's how he does it. He just like talks to her until he finally gets her to, let him.
But she's a doctor, escape. Right?
She's a psychiatrist, I believe.
Psychiatrist, okay.
Yeah, she was brought in to work with the Joker, and look what happened. Like, it didn't seem like it took very long either. But in the Arkham games, you don't really know the time period. I mean, I'm sure there's dates, and I don't remember what they are. But you collect these they look like film reels, but they're audio tapes, and you just kind of hear how she starts and how she, essentially is brainwashed by the Joker. Like, you just boom, 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 and it's just amazing to me how he was like, she was brought in to help him get better, and he just flipped it. Like, the Joker works in crazy ways. Like,
I always wonder if what the relationship is like. It almost seems like there's elements of like abuse between
I don't know
them.
Man, because I think if there were, there's been iterations of Harley Quinn where she's had it, like the Harley Quinn show, it starts with her having broken up with the Joker. Like it begins first episode, and for those who don't know what Harley Quinn show is, it's an animated series on HBO Max about Harley Quinn, and she gets all these different villain friends, and she wants to be like this master villain. But at the beginning, she had just broken up with the Joker, and then you have Birds of Prey with Margot Robbie, where it's the same thing. She's just got rid of it. So there's been a couple iterations where she's gotten fed up, but like I don't know what constitutes abuse with those two. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Maybe just
because like for us,
the way they interact.
Exactly. Like for us, it would be like this relationship is crazy toxic, but to them, it's just normal. So I don't.
Yeah, I feel like I saw more of that abuse in quotations, or more of that toxicity. Harley Quinn was a lot more subservient.
Yeah. Well, I think that's how
to
their relationship
Joker,
always has been. Is she's been kind of like submissive to
bowing
him.
down,
Yeah,
listening. Yeah,
yeah,
I feel like in Suicide Squad and uh, other more modern versions that she's stronger and
she's
taking charge, and is it going to let Joker run all over her?
a little bit. I think
She's trying to be somewhat bit more independent,
a bit more,
but she
but
still thinks of him.
yeah, she's still like enamored by him. It's like she's not going to
Yeah,
leave him. But then there, like I said, there's a couple instances where she does. She finally gets rid of him. Even in the Harley Quinn show, they get back together for a bit, but then she realizes her mistake, and she leaves him. And actually, in the Harley Quinn show, her and Poison Ivy get together, which is interesting. I have only seen I think the first two seasons. I think there's a third season on HBO Max now. But when I left it, they had just gotten together. So it's very, very, very interesting take on Harley Quinn. I know we're not talking about Harley Quinn, but that show
she's
is
an interesting character.
I mean, you got to be brainwashed by the Joker, right?
Yeah.
So
what do you think about the laughs of all the Jokers? Are there certain laughs you prefer more than others, or I mean, what ones do you like?
I don't care for Jared Leto's laughs. Jared Leto's is like
You even mention Mark Hamill, of course.
Well, yeah. I'm not gonna mention Mark Hamill just yet, but
that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. It says my internet's unstable, so I'm gonna try to
yellow
switch.
now.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to switch it. So hang on. Okay, it's switched. You there? Okay, you're frozen. If you can hear me, you're frozen. Hopefully it'll reconnect here in a second. You there? No, there we go. You there?
Hello.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I can hear you. So the thing that sucks about being out here is we're basically running off hotspots. So sometimes it gets
Yeah.
so. But I just bought a my own hotspot box. I'm gonna get my own service on it, so I'm the only one on it. So hopefully next.
What is it? AT&T or
yeah, AT&T.
What's the provider? AT&T.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so
cool.
let's get back to it. So the laughs.
What do you think about the laughs? Or you said you weren't a big fan of Jared Leto's laugh.
This is the only one I can. Yeah, as far as live action goes, this is the only one I can really remember because I remember it being so bad. It's like this, almost like this throaty cackle, if that makes sense. It's like it's kind of in his throat, but he's trying to be menacing, and it just doesn't sound good. And I don't remember any of the other ones. Like, I'm sure they laughed. Well, you know what? Now that I think about it, Heath Ledger's laugh was really good because it was kind of like a little more staccato, right? If I remember correctly, like it was like a little bit choppier, if you will.
Yeah, I won't demonstrate.
You don't have to. If I remember correctly, it was very. It was very more. It was
very
a lot
maniacal.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It was a lot more maniacal than freaking Jared Leto. So yeah, I guess it would have to be Heath Ledger. I mean, live action Joker's Heath Ledger all the way.
Jack Nicholson's. It felt like it was just Jack Nicholson laughing, even though there was, I don't know if you remember the one scene. There was a scene where he is not in makeup, but he goes to this meeting, and it's a great, well acted scene. But he eventually shakes hand with this guy, and he burns him to death essentially. Mm-hmm. And you see his dead, burnt, smoking corpse sitting on the chair still, and Jack Nicholson's Joker is having a conversation with this dead guy, and he fixes and tidies the tie of this guy's shirt.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm glad you did. And then there's this wonderful app that he gets into, and it's hard to describe, but you'd have to
Yeah, I
look
need
up
to
that
watch it.
scene or watch the movie to understand. But that's just that laughs. It's kind of haunting in a way because
Mhm.
after that it goes to a scene of I believe of Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne, and then he's in bed waking up with Kim Basinger's.
Mhm.
Who did she play? Who was she again? She was
Uh,
the reporter.
was she Vicky Vale?
Vicky Vale, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like an odd transition, like this dark evil dude laughing. He just burnt this guy to a crisp, and then it's waking up with Bruce Wayne and Vicky Vale.
I
It was
mean,
just
it's kind
a
of neat.
strange
It's
transition.
it's
Yeah,
almost
but
like it's almost like Batman or Bruce Wayne was dreaming. If you think about it,
yeah, absolutely.
especially if it
Yeah,
did that, because there's like a thing in film where we transition with audio a lot, and so if it's like a laugh, a Joker laugh transitioning to the next scene, could almost be like
yeah.
he's waking up from a nightmare when he's not. He's just waking
Yep,
up.
that's the way it came across.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was no room to breathe between that scene and
The
the
last scene.
scene where they're waking up. So there was no. It was just from that to that. First time we hear Jack Nicholson's Joker laugh is when he's being worked on in the dark by that guy who's performing facial surgery on him, and when he looks at after he demands a mirror and he finally gets one. He's like, mirror, mirror. And he looks at himself for the first time and then he realizes Jack is dead.
Oh yeah.
You can call me Joker. And then he goes in and shoots that one dude, that rich guy that had basically tried to trick Jack to his death by going to Ace Chemicals to find out there's actually nothing in the vault. There was no money. That guy, it's shot to death.
Yeah.
I mean, in the music for the Joker, we really only.
I can't hear you. Did you mute yourself?
Hello.
Okay, I can hear you now.
What did you hear?
I heard music.
What was the last thing?
We
Okay.
really only, and that's it.
Okay. I wonder how I must have pressed a button on my keyboard. Anyways, the musical motif that really fits with Joker, and when I think of Joker, the musical theme is in 1989's The Batman, because it's called Waltz to the Death. Just look it up. It's the theme that we first hear when Batman shoots that guy and on his chair, and then we also hear it again at the end where there's that battle or that duel, I guess you could call it, kind of a dance to the death on the cathedral. And it's just like a nice theme. They even use it in the Batman Lego games, which is pretty nice. Yeah. Danny Elfman's music is, I think, pretty iconic with Batman. Even though people think, oh, Christopher Nolan, I mean, he has wonderful stuff too, but Danny Elfman's a lot more traditional and in terms of the classical music.
Didn't he did Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
and he did 2002, 2003 Hulk movie.
Yeah, I like Danny Elfman's stuff. His stuff has more of a, like, there's some where I enjoy, like, even like Chris Nolan's Batman. I know we're not talking about music, but it's a little more distinguishable, I guess, because you think Spider-Man and like, well, I guess even Amazing Spider-Man had some really good music, but just like, I don't know, the Spider-Man music from Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, it just flowed really well with that Spider-Man. And same with Batman.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed Danny Elfman a lot. I'm pretty sure he did Nightmare Before Christmas as well, and he's just done a lot of cool stuff. Okay, so let's see. I was going to ask you a question. What was it? Because I'm looking at this. So I guess let me ask you, who's your I guess Heath Ledger's your favorite live action Joker? Did we already talk about this? Like, who your
briefly,
favorite?
but yeah, I'd say if I had to be on an island with one particular Joker, it would be Heath Ledger's Joker, because he kind of just encapsulates all the
things that Joker should be.
elements of a Joker that he should be. I haven't seen enough of Joaquin Phoenix, as he hasn't really transformed fully, in my opinion. He hasn't established himself to
Not as a
earn the title
Joker.
of Clown Prince of Crime, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe in like 5-10 years, but not now.
Well, I do enjoy the movie Joker, like with Joaquin Phoenix. Like, I enjoy how, like, in the original Batman, the Tim Burton Batman, we see. I mean, the transformation from what is his name, Jack Napier, to Joker isn't very long, right? Yeah, it's maybe like a third of the movie, if that. And like this takes the whole movie for him to become the Joker, and then it just ends, And we got a sequel coming, but it's supposed to be a musical, and Lady Gaga is supposed to be in it. And let me just tell you, if Lady Gaga's in this movie, I don't think I'm gonna watch it. And I hate to sound like that, but I don't care for her as an actress. Like, she is not a good actress. I watched American Horror Story. I love that show. She's in season 5, and has a very prominent role in season 5. And it took so much for me to get through that season, because
you wonder who she's going to play.
well, she's supposed to play Harley Quinn.
Oh,
and so that's why another reason I'm like, I don't really want to, like, because like with American Horror Story, it wasn't just Lady Gaga. The story really wasn't that good either, but Lady Gaga didn't help. And then with that movie, she's in that Gucci, is that the Gucci movie she's in, where she plays like I don't know, some sort of foreign person, and I haven't seen it. It's got all these great actors in it, and then Lady Gaga, and I just haven't watched it. Maybe I'm being a little petty, I think, which is fine.
I've never seen her act before. I can't say.
Well, yeah, I just don't think it's good. And like, she's in A Star Is Born, and I haven't seen that because I just don't really. I'm not a huge fan of musicians becoming actors because they typically aren't good. The only musician that I think is a decent actor is Justin Timberlake.
Social Network.
The Social Network, In Time. Even he's in that movie with Mila Kunis. I think it's called No Strings Attached. And he's pretty good in that. Like, Justin Timberlake's a pretty good actor. Oh, and he was in what's that movie called where they kidnapped that kid? Hang on, I'm gonna look it up. Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's not like Justin Timberlake. It's not like Justin Timberlake is jumping around from movie to movie. He's very selective.
That's true. I'm sorry. It's called Alpha Dogs.
Which is nice.
That's what it's called, Alpha Dogs. That was a pretty good movie.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. We have 10 minutes.
I see that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what do you want to talk about next?
I guess we could start talking about the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie.
Cool.
So, how many times did you see Joker in theaters?
Okay, I saw it with you and Mandy, I believe, right? We saw it together. And then I think I saw it 3 times because we went with, it was just you and me and Mandy, wasn't it? It was just us 3.
And she who must not be named.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think that might have been the first time.
Yeah, that was the first time. And then I went and saw it with, I think you came with us when I invited my friends Josh and Jake. I believe you went with us then too. And then we went again. I don't know if you went to it was with Hope and some people from Channel 7.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember that.
So I saw it 3 times at theaters. And every time was like really good. And I think my favorite part. Here's one thing I love about when movies and TV shows do this. And Umbrella Academy, the Umbrella Academy, does this really well. It's when it's called contrapuntal sound, where you have something going on screen, but the music doesn't seem to match. So you have like a huge fight going on, and there's blood and gore, but you got like if you've ever seen the show New Girl, there's a big scene where they have this huge brawl out in the desert, right? And it's a bunch of dudes, and they're just fighting. A dude's and like one girl and a kid, and there's it's a huge desert brawl. But in the background is Katy Perry's Roar. playing in the background. So you have, you have this thing going on screen, but the music's not matching. And I love it and so that's what they did in Joker when he's going down the stairs and it's doing that one song. I forget what it's called, but it's normally affiliated with like sports movies and stuff. And I can't sing it over here because copyright issues and stuff. I don't want to get us in trouble. But if you've seen Joker, you know what I'm talking about. And that is my favorite scene. And every time I watched it, I freaking loved it. Like that's my favorite scene in the whole movie. And the scene where
Rock and Roll Part 2, Gary Glitter. And
okay,
I guess it's a controversial song because that artist is passed, but it's a different topic.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's my favorite scene in the whole movie. Next to, I think, the scene where he makes his first kill. You got the little guy, and then they come in to check on him and whatever they say, make sure he doesn't do something. I forget, but anyway, he kills that big guy because that's the guy that got him in trouble, got him fired. You know what I'm talking about? And the other
You're saying that's his first kill?
And that is, oh no, well, I mean, it wasn't his first kill, but it was, to me, wasn't it like his first kill as Joker?
I think.
Yeah. Like when he starts kind of sliding into that mentality of being this Joker and this whatever, that's kind of
pretty much already changed at that point because he has the makeup and on. He's getting ready to go to it was the Ed Murray show that evening, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So he was getting ready for that, and that's when he killed that guy. And I think that's probably my second. That was
a brutal scene.
It was brutal. And I think that's why I enjoyed it because I think you kind of wonder, but you don't think that's what's going to happen. And then it just happens, it just like almost catches you off guard. And I'm pretty sure when we saw it and it happened, Mandy kind of jumped, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. She probably just sat there. I don't really remember, but if I remember
didn't even look.
So I thought that that's probably my favorite. It's my second favorite scene, minus right behind the dancing down the stairs scene.
What's he do again? He stabs the guy with a fork in the eye or the face.
I thought he stabbed him,
and then he bashes his head against the wall.
Yeah.
What was he holding? I think it was scissors.
Yeah, I don't think it was a fork. I think it was something a little more sharp. Then bashes his head, I think. And then he tells
the way that was filmed, it was so visceral too. I mean, they could have just had no cuts or anything, but I mean, how raw it felt was morbidly pleasing.
Oh yeah, totally. And I think, that kind of the icing on the cake with that scene was, the other guy, he's I don't know the politically correct term for
short little guy.
He's a little guy.
The dwarf.
And, I guess I don't want to say the M word. So
yes,
but at the end when he can't reach the lock, it wasn't funny. It was more like, oh my God, that is genius. Like he can't reach the lock, so he has to get help from Arthur Fleck. He has to, or he won't be able to leave. And he, because he's freaked out at that point. And he even told him, he's like, you don't have anything to worry about. You were always nice to me. And then he walks away, and he has, like, it wasn't funny, but it was also really genius. Yes. Like I thought it was absolute genius. That right there, I was like, man, I would never be able to write something that good.
Like, what are we supposed to feel as an audience?
That's what I'm saying.
That conflicted moment.
That's what it is. It's very conflicting. Like, you're like, am I supposed to laugh? And I think that people can't help but to think it's a little, I don't know about funny is the term for it, but it's a little humorous. It's a little, you feel sorry for the dude because
humor, perhaps.
You feel bad for him because he can't get out. He can't. He's helpless. Yeah, he can't get out without Arthur's help. And Arthur helps him. And then he takes off. Like he doesn't walk, he runs out of that apartment. So yeah, that was like genius to me when that happened. I mean, yeah. So what about you?
After that scene, I believe is the dancing scene on the stairs, I believe.
Oh yeah, okay.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't really remember. I need to watch that movie. That movie is just. I think that is. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite movies ever, but it is. I do think it's a masterpiece. Like I've compared. I recently watched French Dispatch, Wes Anderson's French Dispatch, and I said it was like watching watching art, watching a painting. It's like beautiful. And I kind of feel the same with Joker. It's just the way it was put together and the music and some of the things in there, like just the scene, like the whole story, the whole arc with him thinking he has this pretty girlfriend, and then it just turns out that he just doesn't.
Yeah.
Like even I didn't really see that coming. But I did think.
Me neither.
Like, I was like, well, this is kind of weird. Like, I get they're into each other, but they're doing all this stuff together. But then turns out she never existed in that capacity. She did exist for sure. She just never existed in that capacity in his life.
Yeah, their only interaction, I believe, was in the elevator.
The elevator, yeah, and then he
in the hallway where he motions to like a gun to his head. But I think I had to watch it a second time to really get that through my head to understand that's what was happening. And I think the multiple sequences of like the old timey crooner type music that we heard was a nice touch, like Smile. I think there was obviously Frank Sinatra's That's Life at the end to conclude the movie as he's walking down prancing down the hallway. I assume it's Arkham, whatever they call it. I think they call it. I don't think they call it Arkham Asylum. They call it Arkham Hospital.
Arkham Hospital. Yeah.
Hospital. Yeah. But that whole it was just a great way to wrap up the movie.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
It leaves. I think we need another Joker. I really don't think it's needed, but I read that Joaquin Phoenix for Joker 2 is going to get paid $20 million, where he was paid like $4 or $5 for the.
I saw that article about his salary, and I didn't even look at it. Honestly, I didn't really care how much his salary was. Like, I don't know why anybody cares how much an actor is getting paid to do a movie. As long as they're doing it.
Yeah.
I guess is my thing. It's like, okay, great. I don't know. I just don't care about how much they're getting paid. It's like theories before the movie comes out. Like there were a bunch of theories when Avengers Endgame before it came out, and I was like, I don't want to read these because I don't really care.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan of theories. So anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
What do you think the massive jump in, I guess, money for Joaquin Phoenix like indicates, like the confidence that a sequel could be successful and just as well received, or if not better than the first one? Well,
probably a little bit of that, and it's just Joaquin Phoenix probably wasn't planning to do a sequel, so they're like, hey,
he's not a man of sequels. I can't recall one film where he's played the same character twice.
Yeah, so he's probably like, all right,
recall.
I'll do it, but you're gonna have to pay me more. He's an actor. I like to think that some actors aren't in it for the necessarily aren't in it for the money. They just believe in a character so much they'll do it for less than what they usually. But then there's some that are just like, $20 million, that's great. Like, I'll do it for this much. It's just like, what are you gonna do? He's doing it again. That's all that matters.
And Joaquin Phoenix is one of those actors that is I don't know if I should say in the vein of other actors like Leonardo DiCaprio, but I'm just maybe more that he's selective of the roles that he chooses. He's not just going to be like Nicolas Cage or
Samuel Jackson.
Someone of Samuel Jackson that will just be in every movie because they don't care, they don't mind, they're having fun.
And
Joaquin Phoenix is in more movies that have a cerebral take.
I would agree. Like, and Joaquin Phoenix, man, that guy can act. Like, he is like I watched when I was getting in my master's, we had to do a paper on a specific director. So I did mine on Paul Thomas Anderson, who's done a couple movies with Joaquin Phoenix. He was in The Master and he was in Inherent Vice. And like, just watching those two movies, phenomenal actor. And then, he's played in other stuff that I've seen. Can't think, besides Joker, can't really think of any off the top of my head, but I'd seen him in a lot more stuff than Joker before, Joker came out.
Yeah, you got to see him and Her. You got to see Her. That's a good movie too.
That is one movie I've been
on Netflix streaming.
Oh, is it really? Okay, then I'll check it out. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out then.
It's a sad movie.
Yeah, when he was announced as Joker, I was like, oh heck yeah, because for some reason when people are announced as DC characters, like people think it's funny, And I'm
Well, I
like,
thought it was funny when Ben Affleck was
I was,
cast. To be honest,
I,
I was like, really? He was already
you're,
a Daredevil in that
yeah,
horrible movie. Well, it wasn't horrible. As a kid, I probably enjoyed it, but
no,
now that I've seen it, it's not the best
it's not.
take
I mean, especially now that
compared to
there's
like what we see in MCU.
yeah, and
Yeah,
but in the Daredevil now, it's not as
yeah,
good.
yeah.
But when Ben Affleck was announced as Batman, like you weren't the only one to think like, what the hell's on DC's mind?
Skeptical.
But I
Yeah.
was like, heck yeah, okay, I'll take Ben Affleck as Bat. I was day one Batfleck, like not gonna lie.
Yeah, I had to see the picture that they released of the Batman looking down next to his Batmobile to be convinced.
Yeah, he looked pretty dope. Like I liked his. I think his, and I know we're not. I keep saying this. I know we're not talking about that, but I think his suit is probably my favorite out of all the Batman suits. That could probably be another topic for discussion another day when we talk about all the Batman. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, go ahead, Zack.
I guess when it comes to the Joker, does it matter, you think, that we have a definitive origin for him? I mean, he goes by many aliases. We've heard of Jack Napier, Arthur Fleck.
Well, then you have.
I'm sure there's others in the comics.
Well, then you have. If you've ever seen the show Gotham, there's 3 different. They don't use Joker. They don't use the term the Joker. They just have this kid who looks like the Joker, and so they don't really, like I said, they don't use the words the Joker, but like he has, and I haven't really. I did get to a certain point in Gotham, but I didn't get to that point because after a while I was just like, oh, I just got kind of tired of it. I'm not a big fan of Jada Pinkett Smith, and when and spoiler alert, they killed her off. And then they brought her back, and I was like, "Oh my god! Like, I don't want to watch this now." Like,
Lazarus's Pit, I'm guessing.
No, it wasn't the Lazarus Pit. It was something. I don't remember how they brought her back, but I just remember they brought her back, and I was like, "God dang it! Like, I don't want to watch." Like, I was so happy when she died, when Fish Mooney died, and I was done with it after that. When they started bringing people back, and then they magically made, Selena Kyle, not Selena Kyle. What is Poison Ivy's real name? Anyway, Poison Ivy, but she wasn't Poison Ivy yet.
Yeah.
They magically made her older. I was like, why couldn't she start off this old? They just started doing these kind of weird things, and I was like, all right, I'm done. So yeah, there is like
Jerome, I think you're talking about, right?
Jerome. It started off as Jerome, but I think he had, like, what happened was, if I remember correctly, he started off Jerome, died. He had an identical twin brother who did, like, it wasn't the same kind of origin story, but he kind of went that path of the Joker. And then something else happened to this kid, and he became kind of more demented, I guess. But that's kind of a quick, outline of this Joker-like character in Gotham. But I did like Gotham until that it just started doing some weird stuff, and I was like, I'm done with this show. So
we forgot to talk about the brief appearance of Joker in the Batman.
Well, to answer your question,
especially with the deleted scenes that we
were treated to later. To answer your question, no, I don't think a Joker origin is necessary for the Joker only. Like, I think Joker's the only, the Joker's the only character that kind of gets a pass. That from what I can see now, like, it seems like we can't have a movie without some sort of origin story, whether that be, like you have the Batman, right? And you have this origin story with that Bruce Wayne, and a little bit with the Riddler. Like, you kind of understand why he's doing all that stuff. But with the Joker, I think he's the only villain I can tell that kind of gets this pass of, we don't need an origin story for that guy. He's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of melded into the comics.
He doesn't
have.
He just shows up one day.
It makes it a little bit more mystical.
And,
mysterious. Just leaving it at that. But I enjoy how movies these days aren't having to rely on, we get to see Bruce Wayne's parents die for the billionth time, or
Peter Parker get bit by a spider.
Yeah, or see the Fantastic Four get their powers once again, even though we're going to be learning coming up at, I think, one of these Disney conventions, the fact that we're having a new cast of the MCU Fantastic Four,
and
which
I don't think
should,
it's
should
going
be
to be.
interesting.
I don't think it's going to be John Krasinski either.
Hope not.
Yeah, I was on board for John Krasinski and Emily Blunt being Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic, like totally. But I think, and quickly I read an article. Kevin, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Feige, I guess, or Feige. It was his idea. Yeah, I almost said Feige, but one time I said with Ralph Fiennes, who plays Voldemort, I said Ralph Fiennes, and my boss was like, "You mean Ralph Fiennes?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah." So I'm just gonna go with the most simplest. Yeah, I'm gonna go the simplest pronunciation, and I'll be corrected. I'd rather be corrected that way. So I'm gonna say Ralph or Kevin Feige. So correct me if I'm wrong, listener. That was his idea to kind of be like, you know what? People want John Krasinski as, let's just let him do it. He's done great stuff. Let's let him do it. And so I think that's the only time we're going to see John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. But he did a good job.
Yeah,
I thought he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, just the way that wrote him he certainly wasn't the smartest man in the world.
Yeah.
But
not in that movie. So anyway, what did you ask something before I
back to Joker?
Yeah.
What was it that I asked? Well, yes, the Joker we saw played by Barry Keoghan in The Batman.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. So
what do we think about that appearance? Briefly, versus the theatrical version, did you think it was the Joker in the cell talking to Nashton?
Yes, Edward. I did think it was the Joker. And real quick, I wish that they wouldn't have named him Edward Nashton. I don't know what's wrong with Edward Nigma. I know it's very corny because it's supposed to eat Enigma, but that's his name. Okay. Like he did not need a realistic last name. I don't think he did anyway, but yes,
I feel like Nigma's a name you could hear in real life. I interviewed a guy today called Kelly Riddle.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you could have left him as Edward Nigma. I don't think that's a big deal. Anyway, so whenever we were in that cell, I didn't know if it was a Joker, and I remember thinking, is this so and so? But I don't remember who I thought it was. But then he had mentioned people call you a clown or something like that. And even in the theater, you hear people go, "Oh," because we went and saw it like the early showing. And when I say early showing, like a few days before it was supposed to officially release. So, these were the people that were like hardcore fanboys. And so, some of them were like, "Oh, like we know who this is. Like it's the Joker." And his laugh was really good too, I thought. Because you only see in that theatrical version, you really only see the top of his head. And so, I thought it was a pretty cool nod to kind of what's to come if there's a Batman 2, which there is going to be now. And then, of course, so go ahead. What do you think?
I enjoyed the little cameo, I guess. It wasn't too overt, in my opinion. But I think it tried to make people think, "Oh, yeah, that's the Joker." You heard the little quip that he made.
Mm-hmm.
He's Joker's manipulative, and you could kind of sense that he was trying to gain the trust of Edward Nashton, as the Joker tends to do. Yes, or Edward Nigma for people that prefer that. But when we saw the scenes, I don't know how much was it, like a month or two later.
It was
the deleted scenes. We got a better look at the Joker. He was still blurry. That conversation between Batman and Joker, I think it would have taken away or stole the show for not the wrong reasons if they had included it in a theatrical cut. So I'm kind of glad now that I think of it, even though I wanted it initially to be in the film. The theatrical version. I'm glad they left it out.
It was cool.
We weren't thinking about it for the rest of the movie.
Right. And it was a cool little treat, if you will, because you got that snippet of the I think it was the website that you were supposed to go to at that certain day, and so I thought it was a really cool, because they don't really do that stuff anymore. We get the post-credit scenes from MCU, but we don't really get those special features like that. And people don't care about that as much, and so it was really cool. It kind of harkens back to, back in the day. I've been listening to Office Ladies podcast, which is a rewatch podcast for The Office, and they talk about the website that they had at the time, NBC.com, where you could go to NBC.com and watch like deleted scenes and stuff like that. And like, nobody really does that anymore, unless you are hardcore collectors like we are and go out and buy these Blu-rays and stuff so you can get the special features. But a lot of people just download it and watch it on their phone. You know what I mean? So like, it's nice. It was nice little treat for, hardcore fans to be like, okay, we need to be on this website on this day to see this thing.
I agreed.
It's kind of like sorry, I was just gonna say it's kind of like midnight releases, like of consoles and stuff. We're waiting in line for these things that you don't really have to wait for anymore because it's
anticipation.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad that we don't have that same energy. I think I kind of felt it a little bit with the Batman, to be honest. I felt that anticipation. It was probably the movie I was looking forward to most the entire year,
totally
even though it was still pretty early in the year, but still.
Well, you should have seen yourself when the Joker was coming out.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I think you're more excited for
3
the
or
Joker.
4 times I saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're just trailers for one, and the fact that you could view things so quickly these days and watch it unlimited amount of times, and all these articles and paparazzi and rumors, it just kind of ruins the magic. Unless I have the willpower to stay away from that, which
it's hard to do. Well, I can stay away from articles usually, but when it comes to trailers, like. I really want to. One day, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to, a movie that I'm excited about, not watch any trailers. If I see anything about it on social media, I'm just going to, slide up as fast as I can. Like, just completely be like complete mystery to me. Like,
that'd be a cool experiment.
Yeah, if I can do it. But, out of habit, I see a trailer like the last trailer I watched was for that new Lord of the Rings show. It's like I saw the trailer and I watched it. It just out of habit, just what I did. So I just got to find something and like preset it. Like, okay, I know this movie's coming out. They're gonna have trailers. I need to not watch. I just need to kind of almost like a social media blackout. Just don't watch any trailers or anything like that, and then just go to.
I feel like
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I feel like I'd do that more. I'd do that experiment of trying to stay away from watching trailers and reading any articles with like established IPs that I'm familiar with.
Well, yeah.
For like a movie like Dune or something that I'm not totally into, or just some other, even an independent film. I mean, I couldn't. It would have to be like a big
No, that's what I'm saying.
Movie that I'm familiar with.
It would have to be kind of like an Avengers level event, maybe.
Yeah, maybe even with a new X-Men, with the MCU X-Men. Maybe I could try it with one of those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, anyway, tangent. Sorry. So, what do you want to talk about next?
Let's talk about. What do you think? Do we need to have a Joker in every iteration of Batman? Do we need him? I'd say no. We at least we don't need him as the front.
Yeah,
facing character. We don't need him in a trilogy. I think what we saw in the Batman, if it just maintains his behind in the jail cell role, I'd be fine with that. But let's let some other villains take the reign for once, and not just for the sake of it, but because I think we've seen the Joker to a point where it's just becoming too. I don't know, maybe not toxic. It just I'm getting overwhelmed with the amount of Jokers. It's not becoming as special, I guess
Yeah,
you could
I
say.
totally agree.
Let's give it a good breather for 10 years or
Well,
so.
I've talked about this show before, but it's an animated Batman show, and it's called Beware the Batman. And there's no Joker in it. There's Harvey Dent, but he doesn't become Two-Face. Like there's no
And that's
Joker,
cool.
there's no Riddler, nothing. Like the I think the villain I saw the most is Professor Pig and Toad. And Professor Pig, if you know who that, he likes to take body parts apart and stuff like that. And so like the whole series,
That's a kid show.
I mean, technically it's animated. It was like when CGI animation kind of became a thing, and a lot of Nickelodeon shows and stuff were trying to emulate the CGI thing, and so it's a completely CGI animated show. But it's really good. It's really good. Like I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's very underrated, and there's no Joker, no Riddler, no Catwoman. Like even the person who helps him is someone I never heard of until this show. So it's like, yeah, we could totally do. You're muted. You're muted.
So no rogues gallery of villains, it sounds like.
I don't think so.
Show.
Yeah, no.
Like the ones we think of anyway.
Yeah, exactly. No.
The traditional classic villains.
No, none. And so like I think the way Christopher Nolan kind of did it was, let's start with this small, lesser known villain with Scarecrow, and let's not make him anything, because like Scarecrow in the comics and even the games, he's very like his suit is very what's the word I'm looking for? Very exaggerated. No, not exaggerated. It's very it's got a lot of crap. Because his fingers are syringes, because that's how he kind of disperses his
Edward Scissorhands.
I mean, seriously, it's Edward syringe hands, and so like
syringe hands.
But in Christopher Nolan's version, he just puts on a burlap sack and he sprays his sphere toxin all over people. And then in the second movie, we get Joker, and we get a taste of Joker through that. And then third movie, we have a completely different villain. That kind of to me is better than just let's start the first movie with Joker. It's like no, let's start with someone a little bit, and it's kind of like the same with the Batman. Let's not use the Joker, let's use Riddler, and we can stick the Joker at the end like that. I'm totally fine with that. It doesn't have to be
Same
Joker
for the third movie if we have to have.
That's what I'm saying.
I'd say for the.
Just that it didn't have to be the second movie. Don't go Christopher Nolan way. Let's throw him in the third movie. Like I'm totally okay with that. So yeah, I don't think.
And just even if he is a third movie, let him be kind of like a orchestrator of other villains to do his bidding type of thing, and save him like toward the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Well,
he doesn't need to be there throughout the entire thing. Like
with the games, if anybody out there has played the Arkham games, Joker's in every single one of those, and like I enjoy the Joker and all of them mainly because Mark Hamill voices them, and he's just like probably the best Joker voice out there.
Troy Baker too, I think.
Yeah, Troy Baker.
Him. He's like it would be unfair to say he's trying to copy Mark Hamill, but he's definitely influenced by Mark Hamill's Joker voice.
Yeah, I would totally, because he voiced him in. Did he? No, he didn't voice him in Killing
Origins, I believe.
Yeah. So, but Troy Baker, who also voices, I believe he voices Superman. Yeah. So he's like the Joker's in every one of the games. And in the first one, he's very prominent. He's like, he in all three of them, except no, I'm sorry. Origins. Yes. Or Arkham Origins, he's in it. That's when we meet the Joker. So the way the games are laid out is it's Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Origins, Arkham Knight, right? Joker's in all four of those games. And in the first one, he orchestrates everything. In the second one, he's the main villain. In Origins, that's when we meet the Joker and he's the main villain. But in the fourth one, Arkham Knight, the Arkham Knight is your main villain, but the Joker's there with you because there's something wrong with Batman. And like essentially he's the only one that can see Joker. And it's kind of cool. Like that version of, Joker's not the villain, but he's always with you. And like you jump up on top of a building and he's there waiting on you, ready to comment, So that part was kind of cool. It's just kind of little Joker overload in those games.
I yeah, I think the Joker can't live without the Batman. I mean,
or vice versa.
vice versa.
Yeah,
This,
I totally agree.
they are why they
Are they who they
continue
are?
to do what they do. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
I think we could probably. What do you think we could wrap up on talking about Mark Hamill
Sure,
and
absolutely. I'm always down to talk
his
about Mark Hamill.
Joker? Obviously, people know Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, but he's also very talented in the voice acting field, and not just for Joker, but Joker is the biggest role that has led him to that claim to fame when it comes to
he also
the VA world.
Yeah, he also did. He did a lot in the original Flash. I believe it was Mark Hamill who played the Trickster, right?
Yeah.
And he sounds almost like the Joker. And then they brought him back for the newer Flash as like an older version of the Trickster because somebody's trying to copy him and be a newer version of the Trickster. And he came back, and it was like watching Mark Hamill do the Joker voice for you. You know, you're like, hey, do the Joker voice. Say these words, but in Joker voice, you know, and that's what he did. And so, like, I think that out of all the Joker voices out there, there's certainly great ones. And there's even one that doesn't sound like Mark Hamill. And it's that, I don't remember what movie it's from, but he's got longer green hair, and he's got like a white face, but he has a deeper voice, if I'm not mistaken. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I could visualize him, but I don't know from which.
I don't remember which movie it is either. But yeah, Mark Hamill, like the thing I like about his Joker voice is that he can kind of, like in the animated series versus the games, I think he had a little more freedom to be a little bit eviler in the games, if that makes sense. So it sounded deeper and more maniacal kind of in the games, but in the animated show, he was a little more playful with it, I think, because it was it was geared towards children, you know, even though probably more adults watch it than children now, at least. So it was geared more towards children, so it's a little bit lighter, a little more playful and stuff like that. Whereas the games, it sounded like it was hurting his voice a lot more to do the Joker voice for the games than it was the TV shows, if that makes sense.
And there's a lot of like an older Joker, it seems like, in the game, just looking at him.
Well, yeah, he's older, but in the second one in Arkham City, he becomes sick because he's in the first one, he creates like he creates like what's called the Titan formula, where it essentially takes, it's what Bane uses in his Venom. So it makes him strong, and he takes it at the end of the game, and that's what you fight. You fight Titan Joker. You don't fight just Joker. And so he's this gigantic Joker. Like, he's got huge muscles, and he's like throwing things at you, and you have to like knock him out and like beat down on him and stuff.
Hilarious.
And yeah, it's insane. But he had so much that in his blood. In the second one, he's just really sick. So it's almost like he's falling apart. And Batman's been infected with it too. So he's not only got to find a cure for it, he's also got to defeat Joker. And then in the first one, or the third one, Arkham Origins, he's just normal because you're just learning about him. And then in the fourth one, Arkham Knight, he's dead, you know, because in Arkham City, he's been killed. So he's completely dead.
And Mark Hamill's, he's the voice. He's the voice of Joker. When I think of Joker next to Heath Ledger, I mean, to be honest, I think I hear Mark Hamill's Joker voice and laugh before I hear Heath Ledger.
Yeah. Totally.
It's because I grew up with the animated series and watching all the other movies that have him voicing the Joker. But when it comes to live action, first thoughts, probably Heath Ledger.
Oh, yeah.
But Mark Hamill's when it comes to animated, and probably just overall, if I were to wake up, I would hear that maniacal cackling.
He's so good at it.
How everyone hyena-esque type of Joker laugh. I don't know. I would like to know his inspiration, Mark Hamill's inspiration, what influenced him to come up with that
Oh
the
yeah.
voice, the accent,
I'm
the
sure
way
he's got
he
an interview out there
phrases
somewhere you can
things.
watch. Yeah.
There's got to be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but if you've seen him behind the scenes, like voice scene,
Uh-huh.
his voice acting's it's
It's
interesting what
fun.
they do, and
It's fun to
they
watch.
get really into it.
Yeah. Well, it's like
Yeah, it's
it's
awesome.
acting. You're just doing it into a mic as opposed to on camera. So,
Yeah,
and
the way he emotes, it's
yeah,
pretty cool.
so I'm gonna be honest with you here. I didn't watch the animated series growing up. So when I first
I just
heard,
watched it on Cartoon Network.
yeah, I didn't even do that. Like the first time I heard his voice was on Arkham Asylum, and I didn't even know it was Mark Hamill at the time. You know, because
Oh, wow.
I had barely, you know, at that time I'd just gotten into Star Wars for the most part. So like I didn't know it was Mark Hamill, but I thought, man, this guy sounds good, you know. And then I found out it was Mark Hamill. I was like, holy crap! Like Luke Skywalker is the Joker, like, and he's awesome at it. He's great at it. Like, yeah, totally. And overall, I would say Mark Hamill's Joker is the Joker. But
Absolutely.
I would go like I'm looking at this article. I would go Mark Hamill, Heath Ledger, and then I'd go Joaquin Phoenix, Jack Nicholson, and then Jared Leto. I think that would be. Oh, and then I would put Cesar Romero over Jared Leto, then Jared Leto.
That's poor Jared.
Oh, so you know that.
Well, Cesar Romero is wonderful. Not saying anything bad against Romero, but it was a TV show.
It was a TV show
movie.
with a more campy, you know, funnier, sillier Joker. This
Clown Prince. He's like literally the Clown Prince. Maybe not of crime, but he was just the Clown Prince.
He's a prince. That's a clown.
I guess. Yeah.
This article also mentions Zach Galifianakis as the Joker in the Lego Batman movie. Do you remember him?
Never seen it.
Yeah,
I know.
It was
Zack though. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Like, I mean, I think he fits the role like as Lego Joker, not necessarily.
I just find it weird that Lego characters are speaking. I remember growing up playing the Star Wars Lego games and other Lego games. The voices, there were just
voices.
making little noises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they finally got
the way I liked it.
Yeah. Now they got to the point where, you know, they're speaking now, which is fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fine.
All right. Anything else?
I think I agree with that ranking.
Okay.
For
Sweet.
the most part.
I'm sure. Let's see if we can figure out Jake's rankings. What do you think his rankings would be? He'd go Jared Leto. No, I don't think he's that different.
I think it would go with Joaquin Phoenix just because I feel like Jake appreciates good filmmaking.
Yeah,
and
I would go with that too, and yeah, I would say probably Jared Leto or not Jared Leto. Joaquin Phoenix would be his number one. Maybe Heath Ledger.
Yeah, I don't know. Heath Ledger too.
Actually, I would say Jack Nicholson would probably be his number two.
Number two? Oh.
Yeah, I bet. And then Heath Ledger. I don't know, man. He's hard to kind of.
Jack Nicholson just played himself a little bit too much. I felt like he just played himself.
He kind of reminded me
like Jack Nicholson playing Jack.
Well, it made me think of when I saw Batman before I saw The Shining, and he made me think of his character in The Shining. But his Shining character was, I think, a little more. His Shining character was a little more insane because he was kind of being overtaken by the hotel. You know, he was just like essentially being possessed. So, whereas in Batman, he is crazy, but he's got a hold of himself a little more than he does in The Shining. So he's a little more insane in The Shining. But that's kind of what it made me think of.
I agree, but we'll have to get with Jake eventually to see if our ranking matches up with what we thought.
Yeah, that'd be funny. It's probably not. It's probably completely way off.
Yeah, but when it comes to Joker, I think he's up there with Darth Vader as far as some of the best villains ever created.
I think I said my top three villains.
Yeah, what are they again?
And this is not in any special order, was the Joker, Darth Vader, and Lord Zed. For those of you who know who Lord Zed is, he's the red guy with the the staff with the Z on top of it on the Power Rangers. He came in later after Rita Repulsa and then married her. So there's probably,
Ooh.
and actually I think it would be number one would be the Joker, Darth Vader, and then Lord Zed. I think that I could think of off the top of my head. That would be my top three. So yeah, Joker's definitely up there. He's always been up there for me, and it sucks because like I try to be kind of like Jake, where I kind of want to be different, not have the same, things that I like as everybody else. But man, it's just hard not to think he is one of the best villains out there because he's just so crazy.
He's crazy. He doesn't ever really give off that he's fearful of anything. He just laughs.
Yeah, he's kind of unpredictable.
That makes him that much more crazy and unpredictable. Yeah.
And interesting to watch. It's like watching a bomb go off.
But we're never gonna have enough Joker, even 50 years. I'm sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say
different versions.
When we're old men and we're like, well, the Joker was like this back in my day. It's like we're gonna have so many.
I want to see a 1930s, 40s era Batman.
Oh,
with Joker. That'd be great.
I meant to mention that earlier.
Older technology.
Well, with the 1940s Batman that was out, because there was three Batman movies back then, and with two different actors, I believe, but none of them had the Joker in it. It was always these characters that they had, villains that they had made up for the movie.
Yeah, they're like serials, I guess you could call them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But kind of wish they would have, had a Joker in that movie. But I don't remember when the Joker officially came out. Was it? He wasn't around.
I can't say.
I can't either.
I just remember seeing him in the 60s Batman show.
TV show, yeah. Anyway,
it was live action.
It'd have been really cool to see a Joker for those 1940s Batman serials. That would have been sweet.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. We got anything? Any other final thoughts on the Joker?
Nope. I think we exhausted all of our.
I think we did.
We could probably talk long for hours, to be honest, about the Joker. It's one of our favorite.
We should
characters.
do. I would say we could do an episode on the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, but I don't know. I don't know how much more I would say than what I've already said, but it'd be a cool episode, I think.
I guess breaking down more on like his mental,
just how it kind of goes from one state to another.
Yeah. And talking about the condition he has. There's a lot more we could go into, and maybe Jake could. It'd be interesting to hear his take on the movie.
What's funny is you asked me about the laugh, and way after that, I remembered that he had that condition at the beginning of the last the Joker movie, and I liked his laugh then too, but it was more like a regular laugh that he just couldn't control, which is what it was. It was just a regular laugh. It wasn't a Joker laugh,
It was painful too.
Yeah, it was, because
apparently
he's like kind of tearing up, and he's just like, "Oh my God, I wish this would stop," and all that stuff. So, but Joaquin's a good actor. He can make it look like laughing is hurting him so bad, so well.
And he looked like he didn't eat anything or something to get to that physical form he was in.
And he was a stick.
I can't. Actors are something else when they commit to their roles. Yeah.
Anyway, awesome. Well, this was a good conversation about the Joker, I think. Maybe we can talk about him more in the future. Maybe I think we're going to talk about the different Batmen on screen later, way later. So no more thoughts? You good on that, Zach?
I'm good.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for listening to the Fantastic Mr. Podcast. If you have any ideas of things you want us to talk about, or you have any movies that you want us to watch as a group, or if you just want to say hello, you can hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all those goody social medias, whatever.
OnlyFans is in the making.
OnlyFans, never. Whatever the kids are calling them nowadays, the gram. I don't know. I heard someone call it the IG. I'm pretty sure it was. I've been watching the show
IG.
Below Deck, and they called it the IG. Yeah.
A reality show.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. That's what you call a guilty pleasure. So anyway, hit us up on one of those, the Fantastic Mr. Podcast, at all of those. And I guess we will see you next week, right?
Later.
All right. See you guys.